Hi everyone, in this video we are going to learn how to restore a blown out sky in DaVinci Resolve using an approach inspired by classical painting. So basically we are going to transform this image into this one in just a few simple steps, drawing inspiration from the way Claude Lorraine understood light and color in the landscape, just as great masters like Leonardo da Vinci, Caravaggio would have done. My name is Baudilio Bay Perez, I am a film director and visual effects artist, and without further ado, let's begin to paint. Perfect, here we are on DaVinci Resolve, and let's move on straight forward to the color page. So we are going to work on this first node. So we are going to use this tool, the qualifier, to select some point on the sky, a random spot that allows us to select this sky, for example right here. Now, using these tools, we are going to refine the selection. The idea is to take that hill away from the selection. So you can use any of these tools, in this case the saturation and the hue, to meet that selection. And if we want to make sure that we are selecting this properly, we can add an extra power window to isolate the sky, for example, like that. This is not mandatory, but this ensures that you are selecting the sky properly. And now on the primary wheels, we are going to move the gain wheel and the offset wheel to the blue tones like that. Now we are going to add another serial node, and this time we are going to isolate the horizon zone. We are going to use the power window and we are going to select this part only. We can include, for example, the clouds over there. And to make sure we are selecting this properly, we can use the qualifier to isolate the sky. But we need to blend the borders, these edges. So we go back to the power window and we are going to soft the borders. We need to blend completely the selection with the sky. I'm going to add another serial node to be ready for the next step. And on this second node, I'm going to move the gain wheel. We are going to move the center to the red tones, the orange tones. But we are going to move this center softly, as if it were a kind of dust layer, you know? We can also soft the borders a little bit on the power window, and we are going to move on to the next node. Following node, the third one, we are going to do a kind of the same, but in a more intricate way. So I'm going to start by adding the power window. I'm going to do exactly the same selection as the previous node. And now we need to use the qualifier to select some parts of the clouds over there. You can tell that on the top part of the clouds there is an illuminated section. So we are going to try to select that parts of the clouds. We can move the luminance and saturation to be more precise in the selection, always paying attention to what you see on the screen on the main monitor. You can tell that we are getting closer to the selection we want. I'm going to zoom in the image to let you see something. You can see that there are kind of grain on this part. So I'm going to use this denoise fader to remove that grain. And now we are going to move on to the primary wheels. In this case it's the gain wheel again, and we are going to increase the brightness. You can tell that the clouds are more stressed, and now we need to move the center to the red tones, like that. And this is where you can see how the magic begins to reveal itself. You are basically painting with these primary wheels. And now we are going to go back to the power window and we are going to deform in the shape of this mask. I'm going to narrow this side of this selection as if it were a kind of triangle. Now we are ready to move on to the next node. This time we are going to do a kind of intricate layer next to the horizon. So we are going to use the power window again to select this stripe next to the horizon. You can tell that I'm following the same principle. I'm following the triangle shape, and I'm going to use once again the qualifier to isolate the sky, to take away the hill from the selection. We can use the luminance, for example, that is good, and we can improve this with the denoise, to remove the grain and the noise. I'm going to go back to the power window and I'm going to soft the borders. I'm going to add another serial node to be prepared for the next step, And I'm gonna use once again the gain wheel. I'm gonna move the center to the magenta tones, as if it were a more profound layer on that horizon. Once we got the color, we can soft the borders of the power window to smooth the selection. I'm gonna keep moving the center to the magenta tones. Perfect, and that's it. In the next node, we are gonna add a light erase effect. I'm gonna look for that effect on this browser, and I'm gonna add this light erase on this node. We need to move the source threshold, then we are gonna move this asterisk over here, that is the position of this light erase. You can see that I'm moving this upwards and downwards. And that is gonna depend on the position that the horizon has on the composition. For example, here the horizon is on the bottom. And because of that, the light rays are supposed to go upwards. So we are gonna try to make them noticeable. Of course, you can be creative by doing this. I mean, it's not a strict rule. On the other hand, if you feel that the top parts of the sky is too bright, you can modify the selection by adding a power window, for example, like that. So we can decrease the brightness dramatically. But you must take into account that in this effect, the rays will always pass through the mask. So you must be aware of that. So you can tell that I'm modifying the mask to sculpt the way that the rays are peeking out among the clouds. I'm going to create another node to modify the general contrast. We can use, for example, this gamma wheel to enhance the contrast, especially to modify the contrast of that grass displayed on the hills. I'm going to modify also the tint. I'm going to decrease this parameter to give it a more green touch, and also I'm going to increase the temperature, the general image temperature. Now I'm going to add another effect, this film grain. On this film grain, we are going to add this 35 millimeters. There are several options available, but you can notice the difference by zooming in into the canvas. I mean, this is a very creative decision, so you can select between the options available. Additionally, it's a subtle difference, you know? Now I'm going to add another serial node, and this time we are going to use a vignette. And the idea is to set this vignette to affect only the frame's corners, and we need to blend this naturally with the background, as if it were a kind of Christopher Nolan movie. Actually, this effect is created by the lenses he usually uses on his films, so we are trying to match that look with this effect. And now, on this other node, we are gonna add a glow effect. And as I told you before, this is a creative part also. I mean, you are supposed to select an amount of light that is suitable for your look, for what you want for your image. I'm going to deactivate this glow for a moment to move something. I'm going to improve something right here. I'm going to create another node, and I'm going to add this power window over here on this part of the sky. And I'm going to modify the color, that blue tone of that part of the sky. I'm going to make sure my selection is properly created using this qualifier, and I'm going to soften the borders of this mask also. And then I'm going to move these blue tones to these purpled colors, but it's a subtle nuance. I'm going to activate again the glow, and that's it. I think our image is already finished. And this is how we can transform a blown out sky into a much richer and more balanced image, using color techniques inspired by classical painting. So the idea is not only to correct the image, but to learn how to see light and color as the great masters of art did. But if you still don't know DaVinci Resolve, I invite you to watch this and other video right here where I teach you how to use it in just 33 minutes from scratch. And let me know in the comments what you prefer to use as a references when creating classical paintings, photographs, or even movies. I'd really love to read your thoughts. And if you found this content helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. My name is Baudilio B. Perez, and I'll see you the next time.